want to bring in now Grayson Schaefer, who's editor-at-large of Outside Magazine. Grayson, we're watching this man scale the Trump Towers with just a suction cup. Do you know anything about these suction cups and what he's doing exactly?
Your GPS on your car windshield. They actually work better when they're a little bit wet, so rain won't hurt them. And it looks like he's actually done his homework enough to be using a technique that is sort of common in Yosemite big wall type of climbing called aid climbing, where he's got 4 points of contact and is with these 4 suction cups and is constantly sort of stepping from one to the other, and he's anchored into multiple points of safety at all times. So it actually looks like he is a competent type of climber who has done a lot of practice with this. He's even got, looks like, a spare suction cup in case he loses one, either to law enforcement or mechanical failure.
Hey, Grayson, we at one point saw him take out sort of a cord or a rope of some kind, a brace, and wrap it around his foot and attach it to the suction cup. What's the deal with that?
So these are these kind of rope ladders called étriers, is the French word that climbers use, where you clip the you clip the suction cup into, or you attach the suction cup to the wall, or in climbing you would put a piece of protection into the wall, and then you would step into it and then step up as high as you can, ratcheting the either a gree-gree or a Jumar device, a kind of mechanical ascension device that allows him to basically scale this sort of blank surface with very little effort.
Where do you buy the suction cups? I mean, I know you can get the shoes and the gear and the carabiners, but we've been looking sort of on various websites, and it doesn't appear the things that we've been pulling up are able to hold somebody up more than 150 pounds. Are these? Where does one come across these things?
I would have to imagine that somebody on on Amazon Prime or something like that, which would be able to sell one that's this large. I mean, the type of device, you can see that there's that little lever that he's pressing to sort of suck the air out of it. I mean, these are literally the exact same type of suction cup that you see used for sort of general purposes all over the country, just a much larger version of it.
It seems like it's taking him quite a while. He's sort of going back and forth in a parallel area. How long would it take? I mean, we're talking 58 floors. He's likely on the 16th floor. I mean, this could take days if he's at it, no?
This is sort of well known to be the slowest, most difficult type of climbing. I mean, aid climbing in general is the kind of thing where that's where people pack portaledges and spend the night out on the wall. It's unclear what he how he plans to go through the night, if it's going to take him that long, or hopefully he brought some water and a sandwich in that backpack.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question I think a lot of people are going to have, and at some point whether or not he's going to continue to climb. There we see a scaffolding, which I can barely tell, but it looks like there are police officers on that scaffolding. So at one point, we may see the NYPD, as this continues to drag on, try to bring this man in. But if he is well stocked, as you say, Grayson, this is something that, as Rena points out, could last for quite some time.
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Grayson,
yeah, I mean, with the suction cups, I mean, he's not, his muscles, muscle fatigue and that sort of thing is not an issue with this type of climbing. It's really just how long can he stay awake and stay hydrated and not get pulled off the wall.
And we haven't seen him take a drink of water or anything for the past couple of hours or eat anything. Grayson, how is it that he's able to sort of stay up there on the 18th floor? Explain to us the apparatus he's using to keep him safe and harnessed up there.
So he's wearing, you can see he's wearing a traditional climbing harness. This is the same kind of thing that you would see, people wearing at a climbing gym. But so that climbing harness is attached to one or more of the suction cups at all times. So if he were to slip out of the ladders, the webbing ladders, that climbing harness would catch him. So he's anchored in that way. That's his safety. And then with each time he moves one of those suction cups up, there's a rope ladder, a little webbing ladder attached to that, and he's able to step into it, step up into that ladder so that he's lifting himself up, and then close the distance, take out the slack in the line with a mechanical ascending device that you can see that's sort of right at the top, right next to the suction cups. that's one of these mechanical ascension devices that is allowing him to take in the slack, and then he can sit back down into the harness and then move the next suction cup up. So it's a slow process, but it's actually pretty efficient and doesn't require that much effort.
So Grayson, as we watch this man continue his climb, with all that you've said and all that we've seen, this guy is probably a fairly accomplished climber. And I wonder, we've shown pictures. We have a shot of him from the inside of the building. Somebody snapped a picture of him from the inside. I just sort of wonder, in the climbing community, there are only, I can't imagine there are that many people in this country, at least, that can perform a climb like this. It's a very technical climb. You said it's one of the more difficult ones to do. So I'm wondering if anybody in the community recognizes him.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see whether he is actually an accomplished climber in this style, or whether he is somebody who has just trained himself with the gear. As you know, I think you could probably train yourself in a few days or a week to do this type of thing, even if you hadn't had much experience with it, just because the type of maneuver that he's doing is the same maneuver over and over and over again. There's not a lot of variation in it, but it will be interesting to see, if people in the climbing community start to recognize this guy.
Interesting. We have yet to know his identity, who he is, where he's from, or exactly why he's doing it. I find that fascinating, this day of social media. We're now, about 3 hours into this whole effort, and we've heard nothing about his identity. I'm curious, Grayson, have you heard anything from the climbing community about what's underway right now?
No, I haven't heard anything, and I have not been engaged with social media enough here today to see any of that chatter. So if it's out there, I haven't seen it yet.
So the fact, Grayson, that he has this harness that he's sort of sitting on, and that's actually, thank you for explaining that to us, because we were wondering if he was going to get to a point where his muscles were so fatigued that he couldn't go on any further. But he can sit back on that harness, take a breather, and then continue the climb. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So he's really, he's in no sort of immediate danger. Really, this is, he's got 4 points of contact. It looks like he's sort of taken, safety and what engineers would call redundancy into account here, where if one of these pieces, you could theoretically do this climb with 2 of those suction cups, but he's got 4 that he's using. So, I would not be worried about his safety, short of an encounter with law enforcement.
And we can see that there appears to be, at this point, law enforcement in that scaffolding right next to him. And most likely they were talking to him, trying to figure out what he's doing, trying to obviously coax him off the side of the building. But up until this point, Rena, as you point out, it's been over close to 3 hours now. He hasn't been taking the bait.
And we also know, Grayson, that this is a huge adrenaline rush for many, but when you're using these type of suction cups, is there a particular surface that you're usually scaling? Is there a particular point to using these types of suction cups?
Well, to be clear, this type of suction cup is not made for climbing. Okay. There was a stunt, I think, featuring a climber named Sasha DeJulian, who's a sort of well-known rock climber, that involved some suction cups once. But really, suction cups are made for holding objects onto glass and other smooth surfaces. For climbing, you would be using things like camming devices and nuts and pitons and sort of more traditional types of things that would work with the rock. This is definitely well into stuntman territory and not traditional or standard issue climbing equipment of any sort.
It's been fascinating to watch, and pretty certain if this man who's scaling the Trump Towers right now makes it out unharmed and alive and okay, he's likely going to get a free ride to the local police department.